these 10 wrestlers might never be in another WWE game ever. Let's get into it. Alright, since WWE/TKO is dealing with these allegations with Vince McMahon, it got me thinking, like, I wonder what wrestlers are off the table, like, permanently. Not just because of allegations, but from other circumstances as well. So, I found a list. Let's just go through this list real quick. Number 1, he's on the cover of the thumbnail. It's no brainer. With everything that's going on right now, Brock Lesnar. Now, Brock Lesnar has been removed from the cover art of WWE 2K24. We don't know if he's been removed from the game yet. I don't think he will be, unless TKO asks them to remove him from the game because they want to distance themselves from any potential harm that could come to the company from those allegations. They don't know any fan backlash. You know, people are. Anyway, so Brock Lesnar might not be in next year's 2K game or ever again. I mean, he might have like a bad taste in his mouth, if you will, for the company. Like, if, let's say, none of this is true, none of the allegations stick, right, or he's innocent, if you will, he might not want to come back. Because once that stigma is out there, it's very hard to get rid of. Like, he might be gone until he gets too old. He might not want to come back to wrestling at all at this point. He might just want to be staying on his farm and living out a good life. He probably has plenty of money. So, I don't know. I don't see Brock Lesnar being in a WWE wrestling game ever again. Unless, of course, he's innocent. If he's guilty, then it's obviously well-deserved. But we don't know yet. Allegedly. All these, yeah. Next up, to follow suit with Brock Lesnar, obviously, gotta go with Sable. Now, I know she was in my DLC video, but that was more of a, like, wish list DLC. That wasn't like, she's gonna be in it DLC. I know a lot of the comments were like, there's no way. It was more of a wish list DLC list. Anyway, so yeah, Sable, because of the allegations on her husband, they probably don't want to do anything with that. Obviously, she's like, well, no, I'm not going to be in the game, you know, because they don't want to associate anything with Lesnar right now. So obviously, Sable is probably off the table. And since she hasn't been in a wrestling game for a long time, I don't see her being in a wrestling game ever again. And that sucks. We got to go with the McMahon family now. We're talking about Shane and Stephanie McMahon. With all the allegations going on with Vince McMahon, I don't think TKO wants anything to do with the McMahon name. So they might not be in a wrestling game ever again. And not only that, since Vince McMahon sold the company, Stephanie and Shane might be a little upset about that and don't want the new company to profit off their likeness. So they might just ask to be removed before all of this happened anyway. So we might not see Shane or Stephanie ever again in a WWE wrestling game. And they are so integral to the history of WWE. It's a shame. It really is a shame. All the stuff that Shane McMahon did, jumping off of the Hell in a Cell, going through the glass wall with Kurt Angle, Kurt Angle throwing him through the glass wall, jumping off the freaking Titantron, all the crazy crap that Shane did, we'll never be able to really experience in like a showcase mode. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll bring him back. And what really sucks about Shane is the way he went out, trying to do a leapfrog over the Miz and blowing out both his quads with Snoop Dogg standing in the ring. He might want to like redeem himself, but like I said, with the name McMahon, I don't think TKO wants anything to do with that. So unfortunately, I think Shane McMahon is done, and I don't think Shane or Steph will ever be in a WWE wrestling game ever again. Now on to the next one, Goldberg. With everything going on with Goldberg, right now he's kind of mad at the company and Vince for not giving him his send-off, not giving him his retirement run that he wanted. He said he was promised it. I feel like he might be a little bitter towards the company, and he might not want them to profit off of his likeness. So I don't think Goldberg will be in another WWE wrestling game. In fact, we might see Goldberg in Ultra Pro Wrestling or the Wrestling Code. or even AEW. Fight forever at this point. Anything is possible, but for WWE games, I don't see Goldberg ever going back to a WWE wrestling game or the company in general. So Goldberg is the next one on the list that I'll probably never be in another WWE wrestling game. Now, next up, due to his exit with the company, Dolph Ziggler, I don't see him ever being another WWE wrestling again. The fact that he got laid off, why would he go back? Like, to be laid off again? I don't see Dolph ever going back to WWE, and if he's not in WWE, he definitely won't be in the wrestling games. So maybe at TNA Wrestling will get a wrestling game up. I don't know. Maybe they'll just attach themselves to Ultra Pro Wrestling, Wrestling Code, so on and so forth. I know the Wrestling Code has a lot of ex-TNA wrestlers in there, so maybe he can end up on there. We don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But as far as WWE games are concerned, Dolph Ziggler definitely ain't going to be in another one. Now, next up, and this should be kind of a no-brainer because of the situation, but Sasha Banks. The fact that she's being hinted so heavily in AEW, and the fact that she couldn't come to terms with the new guard over in WWE, that probably means she's difficult to deal with or she's demanding too much. And the fact that AEW was willing to give her whatever she wanted to get her in there, either that or it was the best offer that wasn't WWE. We'll have to wait and see how this pans out. But I don't see Sasha Banks ever going back to WWE or ever being in another WWE wrestling game. Now, next up after that, I gotta say Ronda Rousey. I feel like she wasn't happy being there in her last run in the WWE. I feel like she got bored with doing it. And the fact that she went for the tag titles of all things, feels like she just didn't like the business, it sounds like. I know she hated traveling so much. She didn't like being away from her child. She probably dislikes how they were doing her creatively, even though she sounded like she got to pick what she wanted to do. I mean, she got to go do a match with Shayna Baszler, put her over. I don't know. I don't see Ronda ever coming back to WWE, but who knows with TKO now in charge? Maybe she might come back one day, but I believe she's 36 years old. She's probably rounded down in her career. She's probably all set, but maybe we'll see her down the road, but I don't think Ronda Rousey will probably ever be in another WWE wrestling game, not for a long time anyway. Now, next up, and you're probably wondering why I even put this on the list, because he hasn't been there for a long time, and that's Chris Jericho. Now, I was thinking about this, like, what if he left AEW and wanted to go back to WWE just for, like, marketing or using his likeness, putting him in the game, stuff like that, just to own his name, kind of like Vince wanted to do with Hulk Hogan, where he just wanted his name. He didn't really care about him wrestling anymore. He just wanted that brand, Hulkamania, Hulk Hogan. So I was thinking about this, like, even if Jericho wanted to go back, with the allegations that were at Jericho a few months ago, I don't think TKO would want him back. They're probably going to shy away from any possible negative PR, especially going into WrestleMania season. So even if Jericho wanted to come back, I don't think they'd take him. Plus, he's in his 50s. I think Jericho's going to retire in AEW, and that's it. That's going to be the end of Jericho's career, which is a bummer because Jericho had some amazing WrestleMania moments and matches, and just matches in general throughout his career in WWE. I mean, he was the first undisputed champion, Y2J, the cool countdown thing. He was a great wrestler also, but I don't know. I don't see him ever going back to WWE, and certainly never being in another WWE wrestling game. Now, last on the list, and it's shocking 10 years later that he's even in the conversation of this, we got to talk about Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was the guy. He was so over that they were chanting yes, yes, no, no, doing the whole gimmick thing at other sporting events, at other shows, that they had to change the trajectory of WrestleMania. Like, he wasn't even going to be in the conversation. He didn't even win the Rumble that year. But the fans wouldn't have it, and they got him into the main event of WrestleMania. And it turned out to be one of the coolest moments, coolest wins in WrestleMania history. Unfortunately, he got injured right after, and I don't think he ever recovered. He was never as popular as he was I believe that was WrestleMania 30, where he won both belts against Batista and Randy Orton. And it felt bad for Batista because he came back and the fans just booed him because they didn't want him. They wanted Daniel Bryan. So there you have it. There are 10 wrestlers that'll probably never be in another WWE wrestling game, probably ever again. Is there some wrestlers that I may have missed? Which one of these stings the most that I listed? Sound off in the comments below. Thank you for watching. And stay frosty.
Delicious!